Why doesn't the NCAA want to pay its athletes out of pocket? This is a question many people are wondering with the introduction of NIL. I'm interested in college athletics and want to advocate for the NCAA to start paying their athletes directly. Student athlete compensation has been a big issue in the NCAA since the 1950s. This is when the NCAA created the term student athlete and said that they can't be paid due to the amateurism of college athletics and can only take money from scholarships to the university. They did this to help fight against workmen's compensation insurance claims that were being filed for injured football players. This decision has created a lot of issues and caused the NCAA to begin taking the payment of student athletes very seriously. Which brings us to the current day where this rule has since been changed with the introduction of NIL, also known as name, image, and likeness. It's unfortunate that the NCAA took so long to make this change, as it was well needed in the world of college athletics, because it affected so many college athletes who are just trying to see a little bit of the money that was generated off their talents. And I can't blame them when you see how much the NCAA is actually making. It affected college athletes' careers like Johnny Manziel, Cam Newton, and Reggie Bush, just to name a few. The biggest scandal from these players came from Reggie Bush, who had won the Heisman Trophy back in 2005. The Heisman Trophy is the most prestigious award in all of college football, and he had it taken away from him all because he allegedly accepted money and gifts from agents during his college football career. It has since been reinstated nearly 20 years later because college football players are allowed to do this in today's era, but this makes you wonder what the difference was back then versus now. The NCAA has recently taken a big step forward with NIL being introduced into college athletics, but the NCAA or colleges are still not paying the players themselves. I want to take a deeper look into why they would let other companies pay their athletes but won't do the same. The NCAA has multiple reasons as to why they don't pay their athletes. One of the reasons for not paying the athletes was to maintain amateurism within the platform. The NCAA contradicts itself by selling video games, merchandise, etc. to make a profit. In turn, the NCAA and schools are the only one who profit from the athletes, but they want the athletes to remain amateurs and use that as an excuse to take advantage of these athletes. The NCAA brings more than $6 billion annually between football and basketball. Personally, I think that this just sounds like an excuse not to pay them, when the basketball tournament March Madness generates $770 million alone. This just sounds unbelievable how much they make off just two sports. I think some of the money should be going back to the player when it is their image and likeness that they're profiting from in the first place. I think this industry makes way too much money not to compensate their athletes. The topic affects everyone in the college industry, whether you are a student athlete or just an employee or a regular student. Another reason they have for not paying the athletes is having school paid for. I think the athletes should receive more than what it costs them to go to school because they have to do everything the average student has to do on top of everything the sport demands and can take up their whole day, which leaves no room to get a job. They have more reasons for not paying them, such as scholarship coverage and housing, which I think is the bare minimum for everything that student athletes have to go through and how much the industry makes off them. The NCAA has become very powerful over the years, and it's unbelievable to see how much the industry makes off these athletes. It surprised me to learn that black males make up less than 5% of the undergraduate population, but comprise more than 50% of the basketball and football population in the NCAA. However, it didn't surprise me to find out that over 80% of the coaches and 90% of the people who make the rules are white. Meanwhile, the people who create the most athletic revenue for the NCAA are black athletes. Most of the time, these students can't afford to go to college, so athletics are their only way to further their education. If you think about what this actually means for the families who aren't getting the support that others might receive, the extra money could help out a lot, and I think it is well deserved since only less than 2% of college athletes go on to play at the Division I level where most of the money is at. That number is even lower for those who want to go pro. With that being said, I'm glad that NIL got introduced into the world of college athletics so more students are able to help their families who have the bare minimum. While we have taken a big step forward with NIL being introduced into college athletics, there is room for improvement because colleges are still not allowed to pay the players themselves. I say this because some names in the industry are bigger than others. As we can see in this picture, Bryce Young was making $1 million from all his combined endorsement deals in college. This makes it easier for the average student athlete to go unnoticed. These athletes can't be forgotten because they still put in the same amount of work and still need compensation because they still go through all the things that the star players do.